often do you say to yourself, I can make that for less? Well, that is exactly what we're gonna do today. We're gonna take some of your favorite high-end store fall DIYs and using some Dollar Tree supplies, we are gonna make them for less. Hello and welcome. My name is Jennifer and this is a little bit of Common Crazy where I love sharing easy DIYs and budget decor. If you like what you see here today, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. I wanna thank Cricut for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get into those high-end looking inspired fall DIYs. We're starting it strong here with this Pottery Barn wreath that is $149. No way are we spending that. We can do that with some of this beautiful foliage that we can pick up at Dollar Tree. These picks, again, are only $1.25, and this pick right here is perfect to put this wreath together. The pumpkin, absolutely, we're going to use it, but we're going to be using those little long, I don't even know what you call those parts, but you want to make sure you pick up some of the white leaves as well because those are the base of the wreath. I went ahead and grabbed a couple of these as well, and I'm going to show you how I use those in just a moment. So here I have two of Dollar Tree's grapevine wreaths that are already combined. That is what I love to do because it just makes it so much chunkier, but I am not finding these in store right now. So if you're like me, you can't see these in store, another option is you can get 10-inch wreaths. This comes together for $7.99 at Hobby Lobby. Wait for a sale and you can get it for half the price, which is even better. As you notice, I took my two wreaths apart because I want to put them together a little bit more loosely and a little bit more organic looking. And so I'm just kind of pulling the grapevines apart, and then I just go in with single pieces of twine and then just tie them randomly around, just securing it so that the wreath will still stay together, but not so structured as it was before. To start off with, you're gonna cut your leaves off and you wanna leave a little bit of that stem on there so you can intertwine them in the grapevine. If you really wanna make sure they're nice and secure, you can always hot glue it down. I actually skip that step because I find intertwining is enough for me, but that is always an option. After that, I did the same thing with the pumpkins. Now, the original only had 3 pumpkins, but I really felt like 4 filled out this one a little bit better, so I went with that. Now, that is the other thing. Anytime that you decide to make something yourself, you can add or substitute as needed like I am doing here. I wanted to use what I had and really kind of create the essence of the original, but make it work. So these little ball things that are on here, to me, substituted the little spiky balls that were on the original, and I thought that they really did a great substituting. Now, for the little squash, you can leave them this color. I decided to go ahead and paint them because I really like the overall white look of the original. This is Waverly chalk paint and plaster that I'm using, and I just tucked those in. Now, let's reflect. Remember, the original cost of that wreath was $149. Our wreath cost $12.50. That is a savings of $136.50. And look at what a beautiful wreath we have for that savings. Isn't this incredible? Absolutely love this wreath, and it just is perfect to welcome in fall. Now, our next high-end dupe is coming from Kirkland's and is this super cute fall sweet fall sign. And as soon as I saw this wood round at Dollar Tree, I was so excited to be able to make this sign using my Cricut. Cricut is a smart cutting machine that allows you to create personalized projects with hundreds of materials. Because I'm using the Cricut Explore 3, I can use Cricut Smart Materials, which is one of my favorite materials to work with. Now, Cricut works with Design Space, which is absolutely free with your machine. This is where you create all of your projects and you can browse through hundreds of different images and fonts. Once you've created your design, Design Space will then send it to your machine to cut. So let's start off by creating our designs. The very first thing you're going to do is go into Shapes and select a circle, and you're going to size it to fit within the size of that wood round. I went with 11 3/4. Because this is a very word-heavy sign, it's really important that we choose our font. So I went ahead and typed apple cider, and then I'm just scrolling through all the fonts until I come up with the one that I want. Once I've decided on the font, then I can go ahead and select that same font for the rest of the words that go just around the sign. If you have Design Space already or you're thinking about getting it, what's really great is anytime I do design things like this, I leave a link so that you have access to my images and you can come right on in and cut using my exact image that I'm already designing. So as you can see, I am curving all of the words, and the curve feature is at the top. If you are doing this on your phone or a tablet, they do not have a curve feature. That's why I do like doing it on a laptop or a desktop. And then I'm using the outside of the circle to help line all of this up. Notice the double arrow is how you can shift your wording and change its direction. Once I get all of my wording where I want it, then you want to go ahead and select them all, and you can either just click on them and hold the shift key, or you can do that on the right hand side, hold the shift and select them all, and you want to group them together. So the grouping is on that top right side, and why you want to group it is now once you have them all grouped, it does allow you to move them together. And the reason why we use the outside of the circle, it really helps to get that perfect curvature of those words. Now you can shrink it, and if it's perfectly inside, and now you can move on and create the rest of your sign. I like to change colors as I design because it just gives me a good visual, but that's really a personal preference. You can decide what you want to do. Now it is time to do Fall Sweet Fall. For fall, I wanted it to be scripty, and my favorite one to use is Annie Lou, so I picked that. And for sweet, I just played around and chose a font that I really liked. You just need to size it and then place it right in the middle of those two falls. The last part of designing this is to add in the leaves. Again, I just go into image, I picked out a few leaves, played with some, placed them where I wanted them, and then I chose originally to have them all black like the original sign. If you're new to Cricut, I have made several videos to help you out, and you can check out my entire Cricut playlist that are perfect for a beginner's guide. Okay, I did not go through all of that work for nothing, so I don't want to get rid of this, but I actually want to create a stencil. I do want to save this for a future project. So I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate all of this so I can use it for the stencil that I want to create right now. I'm just going to hide the top because I don't need it right now, and for the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and select everything and hit attach, and that way it all cuts out together at one time. It becomes one solid piece. So here it's showing me what it looks like when it gets cut on the vinyl itself, or if it was cutting on your mat, whatever it is that you are doing. Now I wanted to cut in the center, so I just drag it over a little bit so I have even borders on each side. It makes it a lot easier when it comes to painting. When you hit continue, it's just going to send you over where you can now select the material that you will be cutting on. Because I've actually never used a smart stencil material before, I actually just go into the materials, I select that here, and it sends it to my machine. It's all ready to be cut. This is what the smart stencil looks like. It's just a light blue, and in just a moment, you're gonna really get to see what it looks like because it's translucent and such a great material to work with when you're stenciling. Anytime you work with a stencil, make sure you're removing the parts that you actually want to paint. After you do that, then you can apply your transfer tape on, and then you really want to make sure that you go all the way around the design, around all of the edges before you remove the backing so that the stencil itself will stick to that transfer tape. Now you're ready to remove the backing from the stencil. I find I also have better luck if I press down the stencil as I'm pulling away the backing at the same time. Once you've removed that backing, apply your stencil onto your wood round, and then as you take off your transfer tape, I like to kind of just wiggle it off by going kind of like side to side, and I get the best results when I do it that way. Now it's just time to paint it. I actually chose to go ahead and use the same colors that they did on the original, so more of a burnt orange for all the wording and a black for the letters. But what's so fun about creating your own is you really can choose whatever colors you want. When you're done, just remove the vinyl stencil. Now this is a one-time use, and I found that it came apart in pieces, but once you have it completely off, you have a beautiful design. Now to hang it, I'm just going in with some of Dollar Tree's macrame cording. I just placed some tape on the end to help me get it through the hole so that the cording doesn't go across the words. I did it, snip it in half and tied knots on the end, and then tied another knot to hold the whole thing together. The original was $29.74. We are able to make this dupe for only $2.75 for all of the supplies, saving us $26.99. And let me tell you, I do not feel like we are missing out at all because this is an absolute stunner. I love it. And let me tell you, for $2.75, I would make this one again and again. One of my favorite things are porch signs, but they are so spendy, and this one for $50.99, no thank you. But Dollar Tree has these Halloween ones for only $5 in their plus section, and I thought, why not do a two-sided sign? First things first, you gotta prep that sign. Remove that sticker off the back. I think using a heat gun or a hairdryer to help you is one of the best ways to do that. After that, go ahead and tape around the edges to protect that little thin black area. I think that is great, and I wanted to leave that there. After that, just give it a good base coat. I'm using Waverly's chalk paint and sandstone. I thought that gave it a beautiful color. Now this is when I jump onto Design Space and I start creating everything, because I am such a visual person and I love to see it all laid out. So I got all my wording. Now I have my leaves on here because this helps me to know how many leaves I need, what size should they be, and where would all the placements be. Now I do tweak it a little bit once I actually start laying it on the sign, but this gives me a good jumping off point. You want to start by placing down the oh hello, because that is like your grounding point. After that, you can lay down all of your different leaves. You're going to place those because you want those on the bottom, and your lettering is going to go on top of that. As you're placing your leaves down, think a little bit about where your lettering is going to go so that you leave that area a little bit more open, and be okay with your leaves coming off the edge, because you can just trim it off. You do not need to have the entire leaf on your board. So here I have all of the leaves on here. Something to point out is I actually didn't use all of my leaves. I noticed that I chose too many leaves, and I altered a couple of them and cut them apart and just used part of them. So have fun with it. Once you have them on there, go ahead and add your wording. So add autumn on top of it. The great thing about creating these yourself, you can customize them. You can add a pop of color to this. It doesn't have to just be the brown and black. You can add whatever color paint you want to use or vinyl and make this sign however you want it to be to fit your personal needs. Just to remind you that that original is $50.99. We only spent $12.80 on the dupe. That is a savings of $38.19. And look what a beautiful sign we were able to get for such a low cost. Isn't this absolutely beautiful? I love it. I think it looks so good on my front porch. And when October rolls around and I'm ready for Halloween, I can just flip it around. Who doesn't love a double-sided sign? I absolutely love this milk jug. It just screams fall to me. Perfect to put your florals in. I love everything about it except for the price. So when I saw these milk jugs at Dollar Tree for only $5, oh, to say I was over the moon might be an understatement. I snatched up that white milk jug in a heartbeat. I tossed it out into my spray tent and gave it a good coat of spray paint. While that was drying, I went to the Cricut. I designed a super easy decal, and I used some scrap vinyl because who doesn't love to use up their scraps? All you have to do is plop that decal right onto that milk jug, and just like that, you have one of the cutest but easiest projects ever. But just a reminder, that original was $25.49. This DIY only cost us $6 with supplies and all, a savings of $19.49. And look how absolutely adorable this is. What a great deal and what a beautiful savings. This plaque is just simple but darling, but for $25.49, we can do better than that. All you need is to pick up a frame from Dollar Tree. It's $1.25, or you may already have one lying around your house, and I created a free printable for you. You do need to trim it down to size. I'm going to leave the link down in the description box for you because you're going to print it out on 8.5 by 11. It does need to fit into an 8 by 10 frame. Once you have it trimmed down, just plop it into that frame and you have yourself a absolutely adorable print. Dollar Tree also carries photo paper if you think you want to take this up a notch and do something even jazzier. So remember, the original was $25.49. We only needed $1.25 for this. If you need a frame, you may already have one. That is a savings of $24.24. How do you like that savings? I absolutely love this. I think it is so adorable. Don't forget, check the description box so that you can get this free printable for yourself. I also thought this autumn plaque was super adorable, but again, we can grab a frame from Dollar Tree. You want to get one of the rectangle ones. They have a couple different options that you can choose from. It really doesn't matter. Then you're just going to get a piece of cardstock. This is going to be your backdrop. You just need to trim off the side of it so that it will fit inside of the frame. I just trimmed off 3 inches. If you don't love your handwriting like me, it is so great to allow Cricut to do the writing for you. All you have to do is type in whatever you want. So here I'm typing in Autumn Vibes. I go up, I select my font, and then here is the difference. Typically, this would just cut up at the top where you see the color where you can change it. You also see Basic Cut. Select that, and you can drop down and you see your different choices. Well, here it says Pen. Go ahead and select that. And now when you go and hit Make It, instead of a cut, it's going to write. So all you have to do now is put your pen in your Cricut and it's going to write for you. Absolutely love this feature. As you can see, it only does the outline, so you can leave it just like this, or if you want to, like me, you can go ahead and fill it in if you want it to be a little bit bolder and thicker. Cardstock is a really good way to get that texture that you want for those stacking pumpkins. I chose to use 4 different colors, 1 for each pumpkin, and then a different brown for the stem itself that goes on that very top pumpkin. And if you notice, all 3 pumpkins are actually a different size. Again, every single thing that I have here is going to be linked in the description box so that you can make all these projects yourself. When applying your pumpkins, you do want to start on the bottom, and you can use whatever glue you want. I'm just using some regular Elmer's glue to apply these. The reason why you start on the bottom is because you are overlaying them just the tiniest bit. I chose to slant my middle and top pumpkins just ever so slightly. I thought that gave them a little whimsy and matched the original a little better as well. Once that glue dries, just plop it right into the frame. Now remember, the original was $21.24. We only spent about $2 on all of our supplies, giving us a savings of $19.24. And wow, was it worth it, because this dupe is just stunning. It is so beautiful. It was so easy to do. Absolutely love it. As soon as I saw these stacked pumpkins in the plus section at Dollar Tree for only $5, I was just so excited. They stand 2 feet tall, and I knew immediately what I wanted to do, because year after year, I looked at these stacked pumpkins and I've wanted them, but the price was just too much. I'm using a new to me product. This is called Salt Wash. Now, if you've ever seen me do a baking soda technique, this is going to be similar to that, but I'm really curious to see how this comes out, its longevity. So I'm testing it out. What you do is you mix it with your paint, kind of a 60-40 when you're using chalk paint. I think I did more 50-50, add a little bit of water to my paint to thin it out a little bit more. You want like a pancake batter mix. So what you want to do first is just paint all over all your pumpkins and give them a base coat. So that's what I'm doing with this here, is it's providing me a base coat and it's giving me texture. So I do go in and kind of just dot it around, because I want these to have texture to give them more of a real pumpkin look and less of that plasticky look. Once that dries, then you can go in with your top coat and paint them whatever color you want. You can stick with what you saw in the original, or you can go with more of a color scheme that matches your home. It doesn't really matter. This color is called Farm Fresh. It's by DIY Paint. This is the color I'm using for my center pumpkin. I then used Waverly chalk paint and plaster for my top pumpkin, and then for the bottom pumpkin, I did a combination of Waverly chalk paint in pumpkin and pink cloud. I thought it made just a really pretty orange by combining the two, and I absolutely love the color that I got with those two. Because this is a large decor piece, I decided to go ahead and seal it, and I'm using DIY wax to do this. This is a clear wax. It doesn't have any odor, for those of you that worry about odors and headaches, because I get those really bad, so I'm always concerned about those. And when you're ready, these pumpkins just snap together. Okay, remember the original was $84.99. We only spent $7 for our dupe. That is a savings of $77.99, and I absolutely love how this turned out. I think it is just beautiful.
Of course, you can see I swapped my colors a little bit. I put the lighter color on top and the orange on the bottom because that was my preference, but I couldn't be happier. This farmhouse pumpkin is absolutely beautiful, but not for the price of $50.99. However, with these bamboo rings from Dollar Tree, we can recreate something very similar for a fraction of the price. Each package comes with two, a large one and a small one, and you're going to need 3 packages. You're going to start off by painting all of them with a more of a grayy color if you can. This is Waverly Chalk Paint and Sandstone. After that, you want to dry brush with a lighter and a darker color. So I have Waverly Chalk Paint and Fawn for my darker color, and then I'm just using Waverly Chalk Paint and white. This is going to create all of that texture and faux wood farmhousey look that you're going for. Now this is what you get after they dry. Now all you need to do is you're going to slide the rings into each other. So first make an X and then take your third one and slide them right in the middle of those two, and you have a little sphere. For the stem, I have a couple of these wood pieces. Dollar Tree used to sell these, but you can just get a stem from your yard, just cut it down and then hot glue those on top. This is so easy and it doesn't take very long at all. And not only did we get one, but we got 2 out of the deal. And remember, that original was $50.99 and we only spent $4 on our 2. That is a savings of $46.99. And I think that our 2 turned out absolutely beautiful. I love them. I think they make a great duo together, or you can even break them up if you want to. I will definitely be displaying them this fall in my home. Just beautiful pieces.
If you enjoyed these today, you'll love this video that I picked out for you right here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!